Greetings, my name is Monty Martin.
And I'm Kelly McLaughlin, and we are the Dungeon Dudes.
And we're very excited today because recently we've been following a certain wizard, and a page has fluttered out of their newest spellbook that we're eagerly anticipating and fallen into our inbox.
What an analogy. So we have gotten an early glance at one of the subclasses that's going to be available in the 2024 Player's Handbook, and that is the Barbarian Path of the World Tree. So we've gotten to look it over, and today we are going to tell you a little bit about it and kind of react to what we see here in the Path of the World Tree.
Our friends at Wizards who have sponsored this episode have given us access to this preview from the 2024 Player's Handbook, including some of the beautiful new art associated with this subclass. So we're going to talk about the Path of the World Tree, its features, what it gets, and talk about how we would build a new barbarian. Now, of course, some of the rules talked about in this new subclass do reference some of the changes that are coming in the 2024 Player's Handbook. And so we're going to do our best to fill in the gaps with what we know based on the Unearthed Arcana and the changes to the Barbarian class, so the new weapon masteries and other features. There's a lot to discuss, so let's get rolling.
Path of the World Tree Barbarians trace the roots and branches of the multiverse by connecting with the cosmic tree Yggdrasil, I hope I said that right,
Is that
through their rage.
Yggdrasil? Yggdrasil.
I think. This
Good old Norse
tree
mythology.
grows among the outer planes, connecting them to each other and the material plane. These barbarians draw on the tree's magic for vitality and as a means of dimensional travel.
I really like a barbarian subclass that has such an explicit connection to Norse mythology.
Yeah. I also like, so not only is this a connection to Norse mythology, but the other aspect of the barbarian that I really love is its connection to nature. It's always felt like a nature-y class.
Yeah.
And so connecting it to the World Tree brings both Norse mythology and nature into the
And as someone who is a huge fan of Valheim.
Yes.
And
a huge fan of God of War.
Yes. Yeah, like just Yggdrasil is just a really cool concept in a multiversal sort of sphere, because it has that inherently that like the different realms are all connected through the boughs and roots of Yggdrasil, and there's kind of like the different worlds that the gods inhabit, that the giants inhabit, that mortals inhabit, and that they're all connected. So I think that there's this is pretty cohesive as far as the theme.
Yeah.
I think I really like that idea, and I can already see like the ideas of where you would come from with this. So the features that we're going to get at third level are going to be actually twofold. We get the vitality of the tree, and most of these happen when we're raging. What's really cool is that barbarians in the 2024 rules update get uses of their rage back on short rests. At least from the latest UAs, that's what it looks like. So we'll be very reliably able to use these features.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there won't be an option, like there won't be a problem with raging in almost every combat encounter that you're in. We're not, the limits aren't really there.
Yeah.
The limit does not exist. So at level 3, Vitality of the Tree, your rage taps into the life force of the World Tree, so you're going to gain a few benefits from this. You get a Vitality Surge, so when you activate your rage, you actually gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your barbarian level. So your rage, temporary hit points.
And then at the start of each of your turns while your rage is active, you can choose another creature within 10 feet of yourself to give out those temporary hit points to as well. In this case, what you're actually going to do is you're going to take a number of d6s equal to your rage damage bonus. So at third level, this is going to be 2d6, add them together, and then they are given to someone else within 10 feet of you. They do go away at the end of your rage, though. So you get a nice boost, and then you're giving out more temporary hit points, which scale nicely with your rage damage as you're going around. Interestingly enough, you can't target yourself with these temporary hit points. It's got to be another creature.
Now, what I like about this feature is that it's linked to your level. So the more levels you have in Barbarian, the more temporary hit points you get. But with a lot of features that give temporary hit points, there's nothing wrong with this, but I like to just put it in my head that really you're absorbing 1 to 2 attacks mostly.
Yeah, I mean, in the case of a barbarian, because you inherently have the damage resistances from your rage, temporary hit points are especially valuable because you
Yeah.
kind of get this duplicate effect of it. So, at least as long as your rage applies to that damage type. But giving them out as well, it's a pretty close range too. Like it's got to be someone within 10 feet of you.
Which usually means
Yeah.
that because you're a barbarian, you're running into melee combat, and then you're probably giving them to the fighter or the paladin or whoever else is near you in melee combat.
Yeah.
Which isn't a problem. If you're running in with the fighter, bolstering their hit points while you're bolstering your own, fine, that's great.
Yeah.
So at level 6, we gain Branches of the Tree. So whenever a creature you can see starts its turn within 30 feet of you while your rage is active, you get to take a reaction to summon spectral branches of the World Tree. I love that. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw, which is going to be 8 plus your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus, or they get teleported to an unoccupied space that you can see within 5 feet of yourself or in the nearest unoccupied space that you can see. And after they teleport, their speed is 0 until the end of the turn. So you get to, I mean, I'm going to call this like the Mortal Kombat get over here,
Yeah.
but with tree branches.
This is a super sticky power,
Yeah.
right?
Good luck
because-
running away from this barbarian.
Well, there's two things and there's some interesting things about this. First of all, you don't have to make their speed 0, which I note that it's a creature starts its turn within 30 feet of you. So you could technically use this on an ally to bring them over to you.
If they're in danger.
Yeah.
And it's a choice to make
Yeah.
their speed 0?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So now technically, you have to then wonder, can the ally voluntarily fail the save or do they still have to roll the strength save? But I do like the potential of that. But then the fact is if you have an enemy that's right beside you, even if you don't want to teleport them, just turning their speed to 0 on a strength save at the start of their turn, they're not getting away from you.
Yeah. There is an issue that I've seen, though, where barbarians will spend their first turn, like even dashing or doing something and still not be able to clear the distance.
Yeah.
So at least this way, if you're having trouble clearing the distance, you get like an extra 30 foot that when the enemy starts their turn, you can be like, okay, get in front of me so that I can hit you with my axe next turn.
Yeah, because it is on their turn. So this is advantageous for you. And it's at the start of their turn, too. So it can really mess them up. Like, for example, if you have a flying enemy,
Right.
you just brought them out of the sky.
30 feet above you, like
Yeah.
they swoop down to like try to shoot
Yep.
you with something and you're like, get over here.
Yes. Or if you have an ally that the rogue is right beside that giant ogre that's
Yeah.
going to smash them, be like, nope, over here. Now the only person you're attacking is me. Right? So this is a really powerful, sticky, tanky feature.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I love it.
Yeah. I think that like, there's always been like these tanky barbarian subclasses that have offered us the capability of like withstanding a lot of damage.
hmm
But then the biggest weakness of this, and if you've played a bear totem barbarian, you've seen this. I'm resistant to all damage, and the enemies are like, okay, well, I'm over here now, and I'm not attacking you.
Like they
Where-
do get their light boost to their speed, but like barbarians, all the bear totem barbarians I saw, you couldn't kill them, but they didn't do the most damage on the table.
Well, and it was easy. The strategy, the counterplay to them was just to avoid them.
Yeah.
And the World Tree Barbarian is going to be much harder to avoid.
hmm
And man, this type of like reaction speed on the start of the enemy's turn teleport is really strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great feature and I love it. At level 10, we're going to get Battering Roots. So now during your turn, your reach is 10 feet greater with any melee weapon that has the heavy or versatile property. As tendrils of the World Tree extend from you, when you hit with such a weapon on your turn, you can activate the push or topple mastery property in addition to a different mastery property while you're using that weapon. So this brings into play weapon masteries. those were in another UA that we looked at. The option here, though, of having, so what I love here is you're adding 10 feet to your reach. This really makes me want to have a World Tree Barbarian with a pike, halberd, or glaive.
That's a 20-foot reach.
That's a 20-foot
But it's
reach.
15 feet with like a 15-foot reach with like a maul or a greatsword.
True.
Yeah.
But also we're adding multiple features, weapon
Yeah.
masteries to it. And the two that we get, the push or topple means that we either get to knock them back or knock them prone.
Yeah.
On top of the other things we're doing.
But if you were using a maul,
Mhm.
which, if I recall correctly, has the topple mastery
You can knock them 10 feet and prone,
knock them prone.
which makes sense for a huge maul
Yes.
head. Yeah.
Yes, that feels great. And then, so you knock them 10 feet back, knock them prone, then at the start of their turn, they're still prone, and now you teleport them back to you, and their speed is 0, so they can't stand up from prone. I personally think the way to go here is either the maul or the pike,
Yeah.
and just double up on the topple and push, and just get that really amazing battlefield control.
I'm really liking the few abilities that we've seen so
Yeah.
far. I think that it's so flavorful and so impactful, and that's what
Yeah.
you want.
And there's a couple other some of the UAs also did give the barbarians a couple different other ways by the changes to brutal critical, which is now brutal strike, that lets you give up your advantage
Right.
and then push someone. So barbarians actually now have a lot of ways between weapon masteries and their own class features to push people around,
Yeah.
which I think is something that the barbarian class was always lacking.
Yeah, they needed that like
They needed to feel like
battlefield presence.
Yes, and knocking people prone and pushing them around is part of what does that that creates that feeling.
That separates them from the fighter, who is like the master of combat arms.
Yeah.
Whereas the barbarian is just a brute force that
Yeah.
needs to be present on the table to show how brute of a force they are.
Yeah, and I really do though. I think that this combo of pushing someone back on your turn
And then at the start of their turn,
and then bringing them back, like they're still going to be able to attack you, but you're
from prone.
raging and they're prone. So that's also interesting too, because with this combination, you have advantage attacking them. They have disadvantage attacking you. They can't stand up from prone. They can't get anywhere. And so you're creating this really nice, this is internal synergy.
All right, so one thing I like when I'm playing D&D, one of the things that I always try to do is I try to take the multiple actions that happen and realize that they're all happening within a few seconds of each other.
Yeah.
And so the image of like smacking a dude with a maul, he goes flying and lands on his back, and then spectral branches just drag him in front of you for you to crush him.
I'm almost imagining that the branches, that they're flying through the air, and the branches grab up from the ground and like grab them mid-air, and like then they're dragged back along the ground.
And then you get to
But it's almost like a pitch, like the branches come back towards you, and then as the branches are bringing them back, you hit them again. It's baseball, but with the World Tree Barbarian.
and with your enemies.
Yeah.
Ice the ball. Great. At level 14, we are going to gain Travel Along the Tree. When you activate your rage, and as a bonus action, while your rage is active, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. In addition, once per rage, you can increase the range of that teleport to 150 feet. When you do so, you can also bring up to 6 willing creatures who are within 10 feet of you. Each creature teleports to an unoccupied space of your choice within 10 feet of the destination you choose.
So you enter your rage and go into Nightcrawler mode.
So not only are you getting all of these teleports, but again, you can reposition the whole party
Once per battle.
Yeah. Which either I would go into a rage just like there's a group of enemies, but they're over like a big pit full of lava, and they're like, haha, you can't get it. And then I just teleport the whole party into the middle of them, and now we're fighting. Or you're surrounded, and the enemies have an ambush on you. And right at the start of combat, you just teleport yourself to a more advantageous position, and now you get the drop.
But I mean, the other thing that's interesting about this too is that because you have the bonus action teleport on your turn, I feel like you can do really tricky things with the force teleport on someone else as well, right? Like, what if you were fighting in an environment where there was a location that was difficult to get to, and you teleported to that location, and then you teleported an enemy up there with you, and then you teleported away and left them there?
You can bring enemies with that ability?
No, I'm talking about
Oh,
using the level 6 ability. So like with the level 14 feature, you bonus action teleport up somewhere.
mhm,
And then at the start of an enemy's turn, you force them to get teleported up to you. And
right.
then on your turn, you attack them and then you teleport away. So like this gives this barbarian really a really interesting thing where like they can use the teleport. Well, okay, here's actually a cool
I
thing.
wonder if you're going to say what I was
Okay.
thinking. Go ahead.
Here's a cool thing that you can do with this. The enemy at the start of the enemy's turn, they get pulled up to you,
Hmm.
right? And then they're prone, their speed is 0, right? Now it's your turn. On your turn, you beat them up, and you push them back, and you can teleport away. And now they can't get up to you either. Like you have this is like really amazing mobility.
You know, okay,
It's high level, but it's really good.
this just dawned on me. There's something else happening with this barbarian here. Obviously, the barbarian's not going to be the only person in the party.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have a spellcaster somewhere. So two things are happening. Number one, every barbarian that I've ever seen at a table has this mentality, which I love, which is drop a fireball on me, I don't care, I'm a barbarian.
Mm.
I will run through the wall of fire, I don't care, I'm a barbarian. But also, with their ability to teleport and knock people around, you set up a debilitating area. Let's say it's spike growth, let's say it's sickening radiance, hunger of Hadar, whatever. Fire, wall of fire.
Yep.
I don't care if I teleport into the spike growth, knock a person 10 feet away, teleport them back up to me and reduce their speed to 0. But do they take the damage? Maybe, maybe not. But then on my turn, I can teleport back out. And if I'm stuck in the debilitating effect for a turn, who cares? If you have like Hunger of Hadar, as a barbarian player, I will run into the Hunger of Hadar, drag somebody in there with me, reduce their speed to 0, beat them up, and then on my next turn, get out.
But you don't even need to do that alone. Like you just have this ability to basically slingshot them in and out of a damaging area turn after turn
So
after
that
turn.
I could teleport to the other end of it and knock them in. I could teleport wherever.
But another thing that you can do with this too is if you're fighting near a cliff,
Yeah.
you walk like that the standard advice when you're fighting over a cliff or a precipice or somewhere where there's a big fall or a damaging area is don't stand near it. But now this barbarian can walk over to it and now teleport you over to them and then
bonk you off the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this. This feels good for a barbarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This might be one of my favorite barbarian subclasses that I've seen.
Yeah. I think we'll have to see how the changes to the other barbarian subclasses and the others that are introduced stack up before we can give like a firm tier rating. Those will come.
Yeah, we'll be doing those.
For sure. But I really think that what you've got here is the underpinnings for a real brute battlefield controller character. I think I would play with a maul or a pike.
Yeah.
Absolutely go for the reach, teleporting enemies up to you and pushing them away. I think that the only thing that is kind of a critique of it is that the really juicy tactical features don't start until level 6.
Yeah.
Right? You'll be able to play a little bit with it with Brutal Strike and the masteries earlier on, but the double mastery activation really takes it up a notch.
I'm a sucker when I'm designing subclasses just for giving like 2 or 3 abilities right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then building up from there. But that's just kind of a me thing. Like I will always be like, what are the 2 to 3 things that will define this character?
Yeah.
And then we build on those. I will say that that's just my building principle, but a lot of people will do like 3rd level, you gain 1, 6th level, you gain another. it's not a critique to say that there's anything wrong here. But yeah, like the more you play this barbarian, the better it gets.
Handing out temporary hit points is great.
Yeah.
Like it's solid, but like the real thing that excites me about the subclass is all the teleportation and forced movement shenanigans.
Yeah, like
it's right up like it just if I'm playing a wizard or a battlefield control character and I'm thinking about like what would give me exactly what I want in an ally.
mhm.
And a barbarian that is going to teleport my enemies around and accurately knock them into the damaging areas that I've set up is exactly what I want as a teamwork based character too.
Yeah. So this barbarian is going to be a really good addition to a party.
Yeah.
And a great frontliner who can control the battlefield, which also is a form of protecting your squishier allies.
Yeah.
If an enemy runs up to your wizard, it's like that person's going for the wizard. You just yoink them over to you. It's a great, there's a lot of versatility happening here. There's a lot of protection, combat, and control that is happening with this barbarian.
It is strength saves. We'll see how many monsters end up super proficient in strength saves, because a lot of monsters end up having a high strength score, but then are not also proficient in strength saving throws.
True.
So even a strong monster might only have like a +4 or +5 bonus to their actual strength save. So I feel like this ability is pretty reliable. Definitely though, like, you know, when they make their save, you're sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the one kind of thing to watch out for, is that if they do make their save, they're scot-free for that turn at least. But I think that the build is very strong on paper.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're going to go for the heavy weapon. We're going to go for the maul or the pike. We're going to knock people around. I guess you could try to pick up other like, it doesn't feel like you would need something like Sentinel or Polearm Master on this character.
Not really.
Right? Like, based on the UA, those 2 feats could still, we'll see where they go with those. But like, you've already got an ability to reduce somebody's speed to 0.
Mm-hmm.
You've already got an ability also got a lot of things that are working on your bonus action starting at 14th level, but could be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. This actually has jumped to like much higher rank for me wanting to play a barbarian than most barbarian subclasses have.
Yeah.
So it goes into like my spectrum of like the totem barbarian and the zealot, where like I'm just like, yeah, this is cool and I want to play it.
Yeah.
So 2 thumbs up for this sneak peek of the barbarian subclass. I'm excited to see all the other cool subclasses that we're going to have available in this book.
Yeah, and I will be doing definitely a full breakdown on all of them. We know that every class in the new player's handbook is going to have 4 subclasses with it. For some class, so it's really cool. Some classes like the barbarian, we get some new subclasses. Some classes like the wizard
cleric and wizard
are going to have to make some hard choices. We'll see how those land. But certainly when the new PHB comes up, we'll be doing a full review of all the new subclasses.
Expect like a slew of content from us for a while that's going to be completely focused on looking at and reviewing all of the cool stuff available in the new player's handbook.
So the new PHB is going to be coming this September. So be sure to keep your eyes open for that. We are eagerly awaiting. We've already seen some previews of the new cover art, the new special edition covers, all that nice stuff.
Beautiful.
So really looking forward to diving this in. We're already thinking about we're currently still finishing up our Drakenheim campaign.
Yeah.
Which you can check out.
Yeah, but we are thinking that our next campaign is probably going to use the 2024 rule sets.
We're going to finish Drakenheim with
we'll finish Drakenheim with 5e, and then the next campaign will be with whatever the new. But yeah, lots of good stuff to come. Lots of us talking about the new stuff. You can expect tier rankings. You might even expect a few videos where we talk about this versus the old stuff and see where everything's landing.
Like the class guides are due for an update.
The class guides are some of our oldest and best videos, and they need an update, and now feels like the right time. Well, September feels like the right time to really dig in and see what the new looks of the classes
Yeah.
is going to be. So prepare for all of that content. Tell us what your thoughts on the World Tree Barbarian are in the comments below.
Videos that we make on our channel are made possible thanks to the incredible generosity of our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the work that we do here on YouTube, please consider joining our Patreon community. The links are right down below.
And if you want to see us playing D&D in the Worlds of Drakenheim, you can check out our Actual Play series, which airs Tuesday evenings right here on YouTube. You can check out all the previous episodes right up over here.
And if you want to check out some of the other videos that we've done looking at some of the UA, the Unearthed Arcana articles for the new rules update, you can check those videos out right up over here.
Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and ring that bell so that you never miss an episode.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time
In the dungeon.